Hey everyone, it's Adam, and before we get started on this episode, I just had kind of a brain fart, and I wanted to add a little something to the very beginning of this. I want everyone, please, to be aware of a couple of little announcements that are very personal to me. First and foremost, it is Dan's birthday tomorrow. September 16th is Dan's birthday. So please hit him up at info@itsamimic.com or send him messages at Oscar the Orc on either Reddit or our Instagram page. And of course, you can send him as many shitty things through the It's a Mimic Instagram page as you want as well. It's noteworthy that his birthday is September 16th because that is also International Talk Like a Pirate Day. So yar, ye scallywags, you should talk to everyone in your pirate voice and make sure that everyone knows that it is International Talk Like a Pirate Day. This is a legitimate thing that I've been celebrating for about 12 years, and I never get to talk about it on the podcast. So flip Dan a birthday message in your best pirate speak. And remember, it's that god-awful time of year among COVID and the West Coast burning, and there are still, what happened to the murder hornets? I think that they're lying in wait to kill us. Shit is hitting the fan all over the world, so the worst thing has happened. Pumpkin spice is back. Fuck that shit. Join me in my crusade to destroy the horrible, destructive, commercial, capitalistic bullshit that is the pumpkin spice latte. Okay, on to the episode. Okay, so we're doing an episode now on more conditions. Woohoo! And we're going to launch into all sorts of things, but I wanted to touch very quickly. We're going to talk about diseases. I wanted to touch really quickly on poisons. Uh-oh. No, not my regular rant. Oh. We already did that a couple of episodes ago in the conditions series, but I want to talk on the idea, is there a sufficient enough mechanic, in your opinion, for how to utilize poisons in Dungeons & Dragons?
I got a 1 again.
6.
17. No.
No?
Just no. Straight up, no. I have not come across anything. I have not had a DM use anything that has been effective.
Or felt fair. Like, there's always this, cost reward with using poisons that...
Well, yeah, poison is now you take a d6 of poison damage and you move on. Right?
I miss the whole, you lose 5 con points kind of poison.
Exactly, right? Like that's
or
what
you lose 1d4 every round until you are healed.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, that is absolutely missing to the point where I don't really use it.
Now, in the monster stats, they are available, so I think that it's really cool. For my answer here, I think it's really cool what they do whenever there's a poison that is administered by a monster, because it is like 1d4 every round, but you get to save at the end of each round, and it's usually a con save, right? Sure, that's fine. But for players that want to be poisoners, that have a poisoning kit, a lot of rogues, first-time players especially, say, I will dip my blade in poison. And I go, congrats on your 1d4 damage, but it took you an action to pull out the vial, to sprinkle the poison upon the blade.
And you missed twice. We're now 4 rounds later.
Yeah, right. And so it's just, it's definitely something to be lacking from the player perspective. And we need to, I want to see a subclass for it. I feel like the alchemist is as close as we get.
Yeah, the artificer alchemist?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree. I think assassin rogues should have this, and it boggles my mind how they're more about disguise and getting around than they are about poisoning. And
I think it should just be something that comes standard with rogues in general, because it makes sense that masterminds and
yeah, but I mean, rogues
inquisitives should be able to identify poisons.
Rogues are one of the most powerful classes in the game. I don't understand
why.
But
I would replace one thing with this instead.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I want varying degrees of poison available to my players, to the extent of poison typically becomes a non-issue after tier 1, if not definitely by tier 2. So having a CR20 poison that I could put in my, throw at my players, right? Like, walk into this haze of a room and now their skin is starting to melt because they...
I don't even think it needs to be CR, but a DC.
But but that level of equivalency, right? I want there to be this heavy, dense active poison thread that I could pull on throughout the entire campaign, not just in the first quarter.
Without homebrewing it yourself.
Yeah.
Welcome to the It's a Mimic podcast with your DMs, Adam, Dan, and Dave.
Welcome to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, the Roundtable Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get. I'm Adam, and with me this week are Dan and Dave. I'm sorry, everybody. And we are talking about conditions again, more condition effects. However, these are going to be all of the ones that are there that are not listed under conditions. These are technically conditions you can receive. Lowercase c, not uppercase condition effect.
Yeah.
So
this is something you're not finding in the back of your player's handbook or behind your DM screen. This is something...
There's definitely rules out there here and there for it, but it's under-supported. Mm-hmm. All right. So what we're going to talk about is kind of the place of these things, like we just did with poison. What is the place in D&D for these things, and how we would handle these both as DMs and as players moving forward. So the very first thing that I wanted to jump into is a concept of disease. Dave, you're an expert on this.
Yes.
Why?
Because you're always scratching. I assume you have something.
Yeah.
I'm now worried about this coffee I'm drinking.
It should be. All the coffee I've brought has been like that.
If
you haven't caught it yet, you've either built up your immunity.
I've known you for a few years. That probably have the immunity at this point.
That's probably true.
So here's what we have in the Dungeon Master's Guide for Disease. Okay. It tells you essentially what a disease is and the fact that sometimes there can be magic ones. But a simple outbreak might amount to little more than a small drain on party resources, curable by a casting of lesser restoration. A more complicated outbreak can form the basis of one or more adventures as characters search for a cure, stop the spread of the disease, and deal with the consequences. A disease that does more than infect a few party members is primarily a plot device. So it's telling you how to use diseases, but there's no mechanics for it. Then it gives you 3 sample diseases: crackle fever, sewer plague, and sight rot.
Okay.
Do you guys want me to break one of those down?
Can we break them all down? If there's not a lot of options?
Sure, I'll run through them. Now, we did talk about the diseases in Chult, the ones from Tomb of Annihilation.
Yeah.
We did a deep dive on those, so go listen to the Chult episode, because we did kind of do a bit of a deep dive, and we're not going to repeat ourselves on that. So let's deal with these. Cackle fever first. This disease targets humanoids, although gnomes are strangely immune. While in the grips of this disease, victims frequently succumb to fits of mad laughter, giving the disease its common name and its morbid nickname, the Shrieks. Symptoms manifest 1d4 hours after infection and include fever and disorientation. The infected creature gains 1 level of exhaustion that can't be removed until the disease is cured. Any event that causes the infected creature great stress, including entering combat, taking damage, experiencing fear, or having a nightmare, forces the creature to make a DC 13 con save. On a failed throw, the creature takes 1d10 psychic damage and becomes incapacitated with mad laughter for 1 minute. The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns ending the mad laughter and the incapacitated condition on a success. Any humanoid that starts its turn within 10 feet of an infected creature in the throes of mad laughter must succeed on a DC 10 con save or also become infected with the disease. Once a creature succeeds on the save, it is immune to the mad laughter for the particular infected creature for 24 hours. So don't walk through a mob of laughing people. At the end of each long rest, an infected creature can make a DC 13 Constitution save. On a successful save, the DC for the save and for the save to avoid an attack of mad laughter drops by 1d6. When the saving throw DC drops to 0, the creature recovers from the disease. A creature that fails 3 of these saving throws gains a randomly determined form of indefinite madness, as described later in the chapter.
Oh, wow. This just makes you lose your goddamn mind.
How do we feel about this? Let's roll.
I had an 11, but then I got knocked to a 15 by Dave, who's going last with a 2.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so Dan, how do you feel about this?
I love it.
Do you?
Oh, I mean, it brings up one question, and you mentioned it with the mob of laughing people. If you walk through 15 people...
You got to make the save over and over and over and over and over.
15 times? Okay, that's a logistical goddamn nightmare. But I definitely would not make my player roll 15 D20s to make a DC 10. Like, I would have to rework how that encounter goes. But as a disease itself, I really, really like it for a early tier 2, like, clean this diseased city kind of, like, adventure arc, right? Beyond that, I mean, it 1d4 hours after you contract it, it pops up, you said?
Yep.
So yeah, no, this fits for the pacing of a game and everything. Like, a lot of my problem with diseases as they've been in previous editions is 3 months later something happens.
Yeah. Honestly, my answer is I absolutely hate this. This is a mechanical nightmare. Let me read this again to you. I'm going to grab excerpts. Systems manifest 1d4 hours later. Creature has to make a DC 13 Constitution save, a 1d10 psychic damage. There's a DC 10 Constitution save if you're within 10 feet. You are immune for 24 hours. There's another DC 13 Constitution save after a long rest where you can drop potentially 1d6. When it drops to 0, then there's too much math here.
Yeah, fair enough.
For 5th ed, this is insane. But this is way too complicated, and your players will not keep track of this shit. Unless this is a major plot point where they're going to bother to learn how this works, I need to hand out a table to everyone and say, so this is how this disease works, just so you know. There is a way, because I'm rolling so much random shit. It's a DC 13 con now, DC 10 later. It's too much, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to feel like I'm picking on them.
Yeah, fair enough.
You started giggling 1 hour in, you started giggling 4 hours later, right? And now the DC for you drops. Now it's 6 or it's 7 or like what? But you still have to make it at a DC 12 because I rolled a 1 behind my DM screen and how much to drop it by. It seems like I understand why they did it. There's just too much shit.
It's convoluted and messy.
Yeah, it is. I like the idea of it. This was overworked. Dave, how do you feel?
My problem with this is there's way too many ways to get out of it. Not all diseases are curable.
Yeah?
And it really feels like it is. Now, what was the last line again? It said something about later in the chapter.
Indefinite madness, as described later in the chapter.
So, I want to know more about that. But that's kind of my problem with this. Like, there are certain diseases that follow you around. Like, I can't get rid of this. You know? This right here, Dan? I can't get rid of it.
God,
I've been to the doctor so many times. But he just, like, nothing. Creams, pills, I've done all sorts of things.
Did you apply that cream to it, or is it just pussing?
Yeah, no, it just does that. I have tried and tried. I've been to holistic healers, nothing. Some things won't go away. And that should be reflected. Go for it.
Oh, no. I said someone.
So, madness effects in the DMG, just to answer, by the way, there are short-term, long-term, and indefinite madness. The indefinite madnesses is a D100 chart. You get things, and it's in the first-person perspective. This is very similar to the way that it works in...
Call of Cthulhu.
No, in all of the demon lords going mad. Like, there's madness that comes with Demogorgon.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, being drunk keeps me sane is one of them. I must bend the truth, exaggerate, or outright lie to be interesting to other people.
That's a cop-out. That's not a long-term disease.
No, it's an indefinite madness.
That's...
Right?
Yeah, that's madness.
I've discovered that I really like killing people. This just makes you like a sociopath or a psycho, or like it gives you a mental disorder. And maybe because it is the laughing disease that does it.
Sure, but that's a cop-out. Like, that's not...
You're going to run into this. Every disease is curable in D&D.
I know, and that's my problem with it.
All right, here's the next one. Sewer plague. Sewer plague is a term for a broad category of illnesses that incubate in sewers or refuse heaps and swamps, and that are sometimes transmitted by creatures that dwell in those areas, such as rats and otyughs. When a humanoid is bitten by a creature that carries a disease, or when it comes into contact with filth or offal contaminated by the disease, it must succeed on a DC 11 con save or become infected. It takes 1d4 days for sewer plague symptoms to manifest in an infected creature. So there you go, Dan. 1d4 days.
Yeah, there it is.
Symptoms include fatigue and cramps. The infected creature suffers 1 level of exhaustion, and it regains only half the normal number of hit points from spending hit dice and no hit points after finishing a long rest. At the end of each long rest, an infected creature must make a DC 11 con saving throw. On a failed save, it gains 1 level of exhaustion. On a successful save, the character's exhaustion level decreases by 1 level. If a successful saving throw reduces the infected creature's level of exhaustion below 1, they recover from the disease. How do we feel? Same order. How do we feel about this?
Messing with exhaustion is dangerous. But again, there's too much math in this.
This one, it feels simpler on the math, but you're messing with healing hit points and stuff. This feels almost like a curse. And I don't know why they bothered to say there are many different kinds when they did just give you one mechanical breakdown.
Yeah.
Right, for all of them here.
That's because it allows you to put your own flavor on it. Not that things in the sewer should be flavored. But, you know...
They often are, poorly.
But symptoms can include fatigue and cramps. Here's my issue with disease in general. Your players will not roleplay that disease. You will have to remind them every turn. Remember, you are also suffering from cramps. You are also dealing with this problem. Even the best role players out there will avoid role-playing a disease.
I see this as being, and this is going to be a problem with a lot of diseases, I see them being afflictions your party must solve from arm's reach. They're not an internal thing that you target players with. These are just mechanics that the DM keeps track of about NPCs.
These are more complicated condition effects that you've got to keep track of.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how all diseases in 5th Ed are run.
That the one you just said, sewer, what was it?
Plague.
Sewer plague. That sounds like an infection to me.
Yeah.
Is it lethal?
It can be if you get 6 levels of exhaustion. It's a DC 11 Constitution save, so Tier 1, you got about a 50-50.
It doesn't...
Anything above that, you're just going to shake that off in about 6 days. You're going to be pissed off that you're moving at half speed for a while.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem useful.
It seems adversarial.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just frustrating and pissing off 2 of my 5 players at the party.
Yeah.
Right?
For something that they're eventually going to get past.
Yeah.
Like, there's no long-term...
Oh, they're just going to stand a little bit close to the paladin, and when they get to another save, they'll be fine. Because that's the other problem. These DCs are not high.
No. Sight rot. This painful infection causes bleeding from the eyes and eventually blinds the victim. A beast or humanoid that drinks water tainted by sight rot must succeed on a DC 15 con save or become infected. 1 day after infection, the creature's vision starts to become blurry. The creature takes a -1 penalty to attack rolls and ability checks that rely on sight. At the end of each long rest after the symptoms appear, the penalty worsens by 1. When it reaches -5, the victim is blinded until its sight is restored by magic such as lesser restoration or heal. Sight rot can be cured using a rare flower called eyebright, which grows in some swamps. Given an hour, a character who has proficiency with an herbalism kit can turn the flower into 1 dose of ointment. Applied to the eyes before a long rest, 1 dose of it prevents the disease from worsening after the rest. After 3 doses, the ointment cures the disease entirely. Dan?
This feels like someone who worked in 3.5 was like, I get
thinking
to
that.
do a thing.
Yeah, I was thinking
This -1 to attacks and damage, -1 to attacks and damage. That is a 3.5 thing that does not exist anywhere else in 5th edition. It's weird to me. Now, on the plus side...
It does pop up in some monster abilities.
I guess that's true. On the other side, I like how it has the cure. And I like how the cure can be a thing that you do. Right? And like, go into the swamp, find this rare flower, find it, like, grind up this rare flower, get enough rare flower for 3 ointments. Right? Like, there's a certain procedure here that could activate a adventure arc. So I like that. Why it doesn't just give you disadvantage on sight things, because I guess because it needs to worsen, but like give you disadvantage and then start giving you levels of exhaustion on top of it. Like,
it's weird that you have negative penalty to attack rolls and ability checks, right? And you get -1, then -2, then -3. Then you're blind, and all you have is disadvantage. There's no more negatives. Because the blinded condition just gives you disadvantage.
Blinded condition is not strong enough for this thing.
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
No.
It feels like the disease itself is bad. But I mean, again, once it reaches the 5th penalty, you're just blind. That's it. You will have a better time with your attacks then.
Sorry, what causes it again?
Bad water.
If you drink bad water and fail a DC 15 con save.
So this is my favorite one.
Yeah?
Through and through. Like what you said about it being someone...
Yeah, your 3.5 is bleeding through.
Well, it's making sense. There's more to it. It's more in depth. They give you the cure at the end. I like this as a trap that they like. Maybe this goes off and they get this and it slowly starts to worsen over the next hour.
Like it splashes in their face.
Yeah. Like this isn't you drink bad water. You change that mechanic of it, and it can be really powerful. And this is how you screw with. You've got maybe a high tier party. You've got a spellcaster who's just blowing everything up left, right, and center. This is how you level the playing field for him and the rest of the party.
I just love the idea of
make
just
him rely on the magic missile that always hits that he doesn't have to see for.
Or even like I like the idea of using this, and forgive me for being a bit evil here, but in like a siege mechanic, shoot this into the sieging army.
Yeah,
and like water balloons,
catapult a barrel in.
Yeah, right. Or to be more evil, if you are a sieging army, just toss this in there because most sieges are
like they're over
entropy games, right? Like they're all about out surviving what they can do. You block off food and resource routes so that whoever's in the walls starves to death. So you just walk through and poke the ones that are left, right? Like this, okay, guys, we just got to wait 5 days. Everyone got their, 1 week's of rail rations ready. We're good to go.
All right. I got one more disease, and it's a homebrew one that Dan ran into. Dave, I don't know if you're aware of this.
It's the blood plague thing?
Yeah. So I included the idea of a blood plague. And the blood plague simply is that there was an event where every single creature of the same race suddenly started to cough up a small amount of blood. And you have 6 days to fix what the mechanic is, or they will cough up enough blood, their lungs will turn to soup. And they will just hack up blood. Now, there is no transmuting this to someone else. Or there's no transmitting this disease.
Yeah.
So it's just a slow countdown of death for everyone of this race.
Which was weird because the gnomes in Adam's world had all just died off. And then here comes my gnome rogue investigator walking around. Everyone's all... I had this little bit of like plot shield because no one wanted to be the person who killed the last gnome.
Yeah, he fell through a portal and landed into this world that had just lost every gnome in it. But you guys then watched your little 8-year-old Kenku child start vomiting up blood, and the panic set in, right?
And we were so smart with our fix on that one. Adam, what did we do?
You left him with some hags.
Yeah.
Did it work?
No.
Yes, they held him at bay, and then they sacrificed him and used him for a potion. So,
you're a bad man.
Well, don't leave your 8-year-old child with hags. I don't feel like that's on me. I feel like that's on stupid players. But the idea that...
In my defense, I thought it was a bad idea.
Who really pushed that one through?
Terry.
Yeah, that was Terry.
Of course it was Terry.
So, anyway, how do we feel about that? That's heavy-handed. That was plot device only, no mechanic involved.
Oh, if my rogue had dropped in this world just before the blood plague hit, and I had 6 days to figure out what was causing it, how to stop it, and then go stop it, and it was across the entire world, I mean, that is adversarial DMing. As a plot point, and having played through it as a plot point, having a precious NPC succumb to this, it was good. It was intriguing. I would very specifically not have it target my players unless they were well aware of what the blood plague could do before any of them got it.
So I very much did telegraph that to everyone.
Yes.
And I said, I'm going to put every D&D race on a table. I'm going to roll for it randomly whenever a blood plague kicks off. And if you happen to be that, you've got a timer on your head. No mechanical issue until suddenly...
Death. Lung soup.
So...
Lung bisque.
So, Dave, how do you feel about that?
I mean, that seems... instead of plague, if you use magical thing,
Yeah.
it's...
It's the same thing. It was a magical countdown.
Right? Like what was Chult all about? There was the people that come back from the dead.
No, people specifically not coming back from the dead.
No, but if you did, you had a counter on you, and there was something like that, right?
Right. Okay. All I'm getting at, I don't need to know the details. All I'm getting at is that this is a well-established mechanic that is even written into modules. Like, yeah, no, great, go for it. As a plot device, it makes sense. If you're going to use it to just mess with that one player here and there, that's, I think, bad DMing.
So that brings me to my question. By the way, Dan, it was anyone that had come back from the dead previously.
Was suffering this thing. The plague that we were thinking of is if you died within the jungles of Chult, within the mist that was moving through, that mist is what carried it. Within a certain amount of time, you would come up as undead under the thrall of
the bad guy.
The bad guy. Well, the second bad guy.
Sure.
All
right, so let's roll initiative on this. I want to know, how do you guys include diseases in a campaign then? I think we've answered this, but let's do it anyway.
I got a 10.
14.
14.
Dave, roll off.
5.
17. All right. Plot device.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think, are we all in agreement with that? Can we just move on?
Yes.
Like the idea that disease, if I want to hit someone with a disease in a mechanical way, I'm doing it again for a plot device. They've got to hunt down the antidote. That you could have solved the blood plagues at any point if you had said this is a priority, right? And it was always just around the corner.
But going to find an antidote, that's not so much a disease to me as it is a poison.
And that's what it feels like. Right? So diseases themselves. Also, I hate the fact that we can just heal 70 people at a time when we get high enough levels as clerics. Lay on hands will just cure a disease
for
if you use 5. 5. That's fucking nothing. That should be your daily allotment to cure disease on one person.
Yeah, at level 5, you're able to cure the whole party.
Well, a paladin. I don't like how a paladin is just straight up immune to disease at level 3.
And honestly, that feels like it should be for druids more than anything else.
Yeah, right. Like for me, magical disease, things like the 3 we've seen here, the Suffin, that older editions, things like mummy rot and ghoul fever and all these other great diseases that have existed previously. Having them listed as a magical disease so that even your paladins could become stricken with them, I love it. I'm down with it.
Yeah, you can bypass the paladin bullshit.
Right?
You're down with the sickness.
Yeah.
Wah! Yeah, there we go. Okay, so same order then. One disease that you would like to see in D&D. What is one disease that you think should exist in Dungeons and Dragons?
One real world disease?
No. You can make this up. This can be a magical disease even. Like, and I'm going first. My big thing is I want psychic diseases.
Okay. What, aren't these just madnesses?
No.
Transmittable madnesses?
No. This is something that is going to slowly turn your brain to soup. But you get it psychically just by being within someone who is thinking too hard. Like being within range of someone who is thinking too hard. The Kalishtar would have some defenses against this. This might be something that the Mind Flayers create and let loose through the Underdark.
Oh, just to make brains extra supple?
Yeah, or just make...
Flavorful.
And maybe you just have 1 intelligence. Every D4 days, you lose 1 intelligence.
Okay.
Right? And so there's no real big psychic damage hitting you or anything. You are just slowly becoming dumber and dumber and dumber. And this is a disease that's spreading. And the harder you think, the more that you're likely to spread your stupidity. I like that because that's a weird magical mechanical thing that we don't see anywhere else.
Okay.
All right. I like that. The one thing that I've found that's missing is permanent ability drain.
You're going to get a lot of pushback in 5th edition for that, but I agree with you as a dungeon master.
Yeah, I don't care about pushback. My problem... No, I'm fresh to 5th edition still, right? Like, I'm still learning the ropes on it. My big problem is it's not deadly. You're playing on easy mode.
Yes, but welcome to 5th edition.
I know, and that's what I don't like about it. There are certain things that you've talked over and over again about attacking the character sheet. Some things just seem untouchable. And that's wrong.
Well, and that's why we have things like Intellect Devours that are so scary, right? Because those things are 2-hit kill. You fail your save twice, you're dead, right? And it scares the shit out of people. Now, I'm not a big fan of the save or die mechanic in the first place, but you're right. Things need to hit harder, right?
Not even hit harder, but hit permanently.
I don't like... Okay, so this is me. I don't like earlier than 3.5 because you could lose levels.
Oh, yeah,
And
that shit was just a pain in the ass.
Right? So I agree with you to a point, but there are some things where you're just going to end up accidentally crippling your paladin's charisma permanently.
You could lose levels in 3.5.
Could you?
Yeah. There are negative levels.
Yeah, there were. Also, as an artificer, you have to spend experience to make things.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
that can
right. I
drop your
forgot
level.
about that.
So, like, there are ways, right? There were, but it's just nothing in nothing in 5th edition is forever. Even a lot of these effects that do manage to impact what's going on, you get to save again at the end of the next round. You
Lesser
get to save again at the
restoration
end of the
will
day.
cure every
It'll
disease.
be fine
Yeah.
after a long rest. Like, and what level do you get lesser restoration at?
Level 2.
Right? Like, it's just
Well, second level spell, so level 3.
sure, but there's no
Tier 1.
there's no
is the
high
point.
stakes,
Yeah.
right? And these are interesting mechanics that I normally choose to not play with, but they could be so much more if they did more. If they did something exclusive, if these were the only ways to attack that section of the sheet, you'd use them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For me, I want to see a disease that is in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It already exists, but I want to see more of it, and I want it to be varied. And that is the impregnation of humanoid creatures that Slod do. Dropping their little egg inside of you,
Their tadpole.
their tadpole, to grow and then erupt out of you in bloody, gory mess. But I want to see things like maybe someone becomes an Edgar suit
There's a slot
from the inside out,
Yeah.
right?
You want to see more wasting away from the inside as a sentient creature takes you over?
Those of you who have listened to the Call of Cthulhu series, the idea of having like worms and parasites and whatnot is something that I find especially creepy. And whenever I want to evoke that creepy, there will usually be something along those in my games. Having the chest burster moment from Alien,
My next
Right.
wizard familiar is going to be a tapeworm.
or just a series of ringworms.
No, that's
Just one tape. I gotta feed it, guys. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Avoid onions. So
Why?
do you not know that old wives' tale?
No.
Oh, if you have a tapeworm or one of those things, bite into an onion and it'll hold it in your mouth for a little bit and it'll come up. Is like a old folk remedy.
I don't want them coming up. Then again, I don't want them going out the other end either. There's no good way to get rid of a tapeworm.
No. If you grab it when it comes to the other end and pull, it tickles on the way out.
Well, if it's long enough, you could technically get flossed with a friend on each end.
God damn both of you.
It's gonna. You know what? Never mind. We've spent enough time on this.
Yeah.
What's next?
The next question was going to be, how do you guys want to make a disease actually stick? Which is what you were talking about, Dave. There's no permanence to this, right? But I think that's just DM fiat, right? Like by not having lesser restoration work or lay on hands work, you just make it a magical disease, and you can hand wave anything from there, right?
The one thing I do want to bring up is that on the 3.5 character sheet, it had your ability score and then ability modifier, and then temporary ability score and temporary ability modifier. And like the sheet was made to accommodate for this.
Yeah, for diseases and you getting whittled away in different ways and stuff.
Right? And that's just, you can tell they just wanted done with it.
This just occurred to me. Another fun way to attack the character sheet, because with disease, this is one of the best ways to attack other spots of the character sheet that do not get attacked enough. Remove hit dice.
Yeah, I like removing hit dice. I was also thinking max hit points is something that you're going to see a lot of with diseases. This is where I would come from. I don't want it to whittle away hit points. That's just bleeding out. That's just poison, right?
But that's why you get the Constitution ability drain, right?
Yeah.
So if you end up dropping 2, your modifier goes down 1, you're level 7, you drop 7 hit points. Period.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we're
good. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one. It's kind of related. There's not a mechanic that I can find for it, and I did do a bit of a deep dive, scarring. How do we feel about scarring? Let's roll initiative on this. So, I'm going last. Dave, you're going first. What I mean by scarring is not an injury. I mean like surface level scars. Things that are going to make you ugly.
So, I like the idea of using scars. I think we talked about it in the Barbarian episode to like scarification instead of tattoos, that level scars.
They not just half-orcs was where we talked about it as well, who will proudly display their scars and actively want people to ask them about them so they could tell the story of how they generated that scar.
But, I mean, you do even find things like that, not every day, but occasionally in the real world. I mean, you know, if someone's walking around, if you're at the beach, you know the people that had their appendix out, and you can talk to them about that, right?
I don't recommend that. Do not go up to people and be like, "How'd you get that scar?"
Sure, but like, you know, like there are things, noticeable scars that mean something on people.
I am honestly the person that does that. I like.
I'm not surprised, Dan. Fuck off.
But like, I find sometimes people want to actually tell that story. It's my one awkward thing, I think.
That is really awkward. I have been a fly on the wall when someone has asked someone else about, hey, what's with the scar? And
I ask it a lot nicer than that.
Sure, yeah, I'm just paraphrasing here, but the person will give some long, convoluted story that you know is just utter bullshit, but it's a good story.
Yeah, I have done shit like that in the past as well. Anytime that I have, like, oh, you know, I've got a cut on my arm and it's noticeable. It's like, oh, what's that? Well, I live kind of near the woods and there are a lot of bears nearby. Right, I'm going to bullshit my way through this story.
Yeah, see the scar right here, Dan? I saved 6 children from a burning school bus.
To be fair, he lit the bus on fire first. And then said, you 6 didn't roll high enough, so you 6 stay.
Exactly.
I legitimately told people for a few years after I got my appendix removed that I got in a knife fight and it was a knife wound.
I know a friend who's done that as well. Like, people lie about scars. It's a conversation. It was a knife fight with a doctor. I was asleep and I lost.
All right, so speaking of that, how do you guys determine mechanically what is going to leave a scar in D&D? Because your guys get cut to shit in every combat. You've been blown up, lit on fire, half drowned. You've been dragged by horses and stabbed repeatedly, pierced by arrows and crossbow bolts, and yet everybody's walking around shiny brand new. How do you determine when a scar should be left? Let's roll for it.
12.
I got a 6.
I got a 10. Dave?
So I don't. I never have. And it's probably something I could do that would be real easy. Now, I went full Dan on this one and did 0 prep for today's episode, except looking this up. And what I came across was there was someone on Reddit who had mentioned that they give their players a scar every time they drop to 0 and start doing death saves.
Son of a bitch.
You piece of shit.
Yeah, they stole that.
Could be. Right? Like
Actually, was that one of my alternates? I wonder. I run around and troll Reddit quite frequently, so that might have been one of mine. But
could be. That's exactly not mine. I don't use it, but I found this.
Yeah.
And it you know what? Yeah.
I like
that.
That is legitimately my answer. However, I have a caveat on that as well. This may give me one of my alternates away if they're like, hey, that's what the other guy said. And Dan knows this. When you drop below 0, the scar that you get is specifically from that attack. Not even that multi-attack that hit you, but that single slice of the blade or tusk or that thing that blew up.
That acid scar, that...
when you got scalped repeatedly. Whatever it is, right? So when you lose consciousness and you get this permanent scar. However... you, the player, get to choose where it is as long as it makes sense. So if I say you get hit on the back, you can choose where on the back it is, how big it is, as long as it makes sense with the weapon or the kind of damage that you took.
Yeah.
Right? Bludgeoning is going to leave, a large, like, puckered mark on your back as opposed to a slash or an arrow hole or whatever. And so as we went on throughout the campaign...
I basically was a walking scab.
Yeah, and you weren't the only one. There were, like, everyone was walking around beat to shit by the end of it.
My favorite was the Shambling Mound. We fought the Queen of the Jungle or whatever it was, and she was basically just a advanced Shambling Mound.
Yeah.
And my little gnome character got dropped to unconscious by just one of the tendril attacks, I think is what it was. But no, I was within it, and it was crushing me.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. And when I walked out, and Adam's like, "What is your scar?" I'm like, like all of my bones are broken in my body and pierced through the skin. So Lockie had like little loony sized like dots all over his body from where all of his bones were crushed and pierced through the skin before he got the resurrection magic.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So I'm a big fan, but let the players choose, because when I sit there and I say, hey, look, you have this massive scar on your face. Well, this person chose an elf bard to be beautiful. That's what they want to do, right? And now I'm taking away their agency from character creation. And as much as that might be a fun story for you as a DM to tell, that's not what you should be doing. No. So I let the players choose. You're going to get a scar. It has got to be roughly this big. But you can choose exactly what it is. So that way you can have that the scar that goes over your eye, or like up the cheek from the corner of the mouth up to the ear, or you can get really specific with.
I want to know why I got these scars.
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted, right? But that way you have some sort of agency as an arcane trickster. Which one of your hands needs to have a glove on it, right? In order to keep your scarring from being distracting.
My only thing about scarring is, as with real life, scars tell a story. Scars should persist. I don't know if we're going to talk about this later, but it should be hard to remove a scar that you get, right? Like, I feel like Greater Restoration would do it, but at the same time, I really don't want to trust a 5th level spell for Greater Restoration.
Why?
That feels too soon.
It's level 7.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about, you said remove a scar, and I went to John Travolta or Nicolas Cage getting his face back, and then I'm not going to need this scar anymore. Sorry, that's where I went.
You went to Face Off?
Oh, yeah. No. Face
off.
Yeah.
So I actually addressed this in my campaign as well, and it's one of the spells that I created. We had Lesser Restoration, we have Greater Restoration, but we don't have
medium restoration?
Yeah, restoration. Just restoration. So Greater Restoration is level 5, and Lesser Restoration is level 2. Like 2nd level spell and 5th level spell, right?
Yeah.
So Restoration is something that you can choose as a 4th level spell. It's Lesser Restoration, except it removes scarring. It will remove 1 scar permanently per casting. Why not? Your D&D players are most of the time walking around as if they've never gotten a scar in the first place. So you might as well add a mechanic in. If they're going to get scars, they should be able to remove them. And a 4th level spell hurts. Especially if you're doing it over and over again, because by the time that you've got it, chances are everyone at the party is like, okay, me first.
Yeah,
oh my God,
right.
I've got like 15 of these things. So that's what I did. It's right in one of the spells. I want to say heal, but it might be one of the other 7th level or above healing spells. You can go listen actually to episode 37A, where we did our healing magic one. And there's one that specifically talks about this will heal all scars.
Yeah.
And it is so out of the blue because it's the only time anywhere in 5th edition that they talk about gaining scars like that. So you do get it at 7th level as well automatically, but I like it as a restoration kind of thing as well.
Yeah. I like the idea of scars being a little bit more persistent, especially just to pair with like magical diseases and stuff. If there is some sort of magical effect that has given you a constant angry burn or something, like a permanent scar that is magically infused in some way, shape, or form, it should be harder to remove it. And I like having this as a campaign plot point, right?
Maybe you have Greater Restoration and then Extreme Restoration, which will get rid of magical scars, magically inflicted scars.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like you could build a mechanic for this, and I don't think it's going to break your game. But here's something they've got, and we're going to jump into this in a minute here. They've got a list about injuries in the Dungeon Master's Guide. They've got a D20 table, and if you roll an 11 to 13, you get Horrible Scar. You are disfigured to the extent that the wound can't be easily concealed. You have disadvantage on persuasion checks and advantage on intimidation checks. Magical healing of 6th level or higher, such as heal and regenerate, removes the scar. Regenerate was the one, not heal.
Okay, yeah.
Such as heal and regenerate removes the scar. Do we like that?
Yeah.
Is it enough?
No.
Should it have that mechanical advantage and disadvantage?
No. I don't like the mechanical advantage and disadvantages on Persuade because, as we have said many times, mostly directed to me, charisma is not necessarily the looking pretty. Mm-hmm. So how you look shouldn't affect your Persuade and your Intimidate and your everything else.
I like you leaning on it a little bit for intimidation, but that's as far as it would go.
Yeah. Right? And it's just, it is something that I as a DM would lessen the DC if the player brought it up in that social encounter.
Yeah, I'm not giving advantage or disadvantage.
I'm not giving you advantage or disadvantage on every single persuasion or every single intimidate from here on out because you have, Dr. Evil scar. No, that's not happening. But I mean, if you go, no, man, I'm going to call out this scar and say, I've experienced pain before and I will put that on you just as bad as I got it. No, yeah, man, I'll give you a little boost there by reducing that DC. That's the most I'll do.
Dave, what do you think?
You know what? I agree with Dan.
That's why DCs are able to be shifted and changed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that is not talked about in the DMG. It's all advantage and disadvantage. And I hate the fact that the DCs are 5 is easy, 10 is medium, 15 is hard, and 20 is deadly. And I'm sitting there going, no, it fucking isn't.
10 is not medium. 10 is easy.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you get some things like the Inquisitive Rogue and shit...
5 is trivial.
Yeah, 20 is easy.
If the DC is 5, I'm not going to make you roll that.
And that's pretty much it. Sometimes I will say, hey, look, there is... Yes, I know that this is a party of rogues, but there is a patrol. Everybody roll, nobody botch. How many times have I said to Dan, as long as you roll a 2 or above, you're fine.
Yeah, I've used that as well. I mean, the whole just... They'll ask me what the DC is, which I never tell them, and they still keep asking. As long as you don't roll a 1, you're good, right? Like, we don't need to spend time on this.
There's a 5% chance that you will just fail at this. However, you got this, right? And so I feel like having scars affect your ability to do things seems a little bit wrong. But injuries, however, are another topic. But first, let's cut to a commercial. Hi everybody, it's Adam, and once again we're dedicating a full episode to conditions and condition effects in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And we can't have these conversations without discussing our old friend, WildBot 3D. WildBot 3D has really revamped their website since the last time we discussed them on the show, and you should definitely check out the updated options there. They still have those glorious tracker rings that display the conditions in 3D on your gaming table, and they fit so beautifully around standard medium-sized minis and cover nearly everything we've been discussing on these condition-heavy episodes. They're color-coded, easy to read, unique, and fun to add to all of your D&D games. I use them in my own game all the time, and I've come to rely on them to keep track of which character has what spell or condition affecting them. My personal favorite is the enlarged tracker, but they're all great for both DMs and players alike to buy. Monks that stun, clerics that curse, and warlocks that hex, there are tracker rings for you in here too. But WildBot 3D offers more than just these tracker rings now. There are also unique character sheets for martial and caster classes, there's beautiful dice, and hilarious D&D themed t-shirts. My next purchase is going to be the Initiative Tracker Rings, which help display who's going in which order, and are incredibly useful for keeping track of multiple monsters on your map. These things are a game changer, so head on over to wildbot3d.com and check them out on Instagram. But for now, let's head on back to the discussion. Okay, so scars are surface level. Injuries are debilitating injuries. I don't mean like you get a hangnail. Dave, remember that episode we talked about hangnails where you could like roll that hangnail up your finger?
No.
And it would like keep going and going.
I said
and
no.
Like a foot-long hangnail getting ripped up your arm. I feel like it would spiral a little around, so it'd be like inside the
Well, it's like a
elbow
little
and-
trough of just pain that goes up your finger into like, and like it would hit your weenus.
Oh, no. I want it on the inside.
Oh, you want it on the inside.
Yeah. So my thing about it is it's pink and it's wet looking on the inside. It doesn't
But
necessarily bleed.
it's like hard. It's like a little like calloused, right?
Dave's losing his shit.
Bye, Dave. Love you, Dave.
I'm no longer bringing you coffee.
What a bitch.
He'll get over it.
So injuries. Now, they do cover these in the DMG. However, it is half of a page.
Yep.
It's not really addressed, and I know a lot of people deal with this, especially if you're running with crit tables. So, let's see what the DMG has to say. Damage normally leaves no lingering effects. God damn it. This option introduces the potential for long-term injuries. It's up to you to decide when to check for a lingering injury. A creature might sustain a lingerie,
A lingerie?
some lingerie. A creature might sustain some lingerie,
Continue.
but,
Takes it slower.
but it's a secret from Victoria. A creature might sustain a lingering injury under the following circumstances. When it takes a critical hit, when it drops to 0 hit points but isn't killed outright, when it fails a death saving throw by 5 or more.
Oh, that's a good one too.
To determine the nature of the injury, roll on the lingering injuries table. The table assumes a typical humanoid physiology, but you can adapt the results for creatures with differing body types. So, again, it's the 1 to 20 table. I already talked about the horrible scar. We have lose an eye, which is disadvantage on wisdom checks. Magic such as regenerate will actually bring it back. So if you have no eyes, after sustaining this injury, you're blinded.
I'll just play a Beholder PC. It'd be fine.
Lose an arm or hand, so you can't hold anything that requires 2 hands. You can only hold a single object at a time, and magic such as regenerate can restore the lost appendage.
Do every single one of these regenerate can restore blank, blank, blank?
Not all of them, but most of them.
Okay.
Lose a foot or leg. The speed on foot is halved, and you must use a cane or crutch to move unless you have a peg leg or other prosthesis. You fall prone after using the dash action. You have disadvantage on dexterity checks made to balance, and regenerate.
Okay, my question. If you lose a foot or leg and your speed is reduced by half, I feel like if you're a centaur, your speed should be reduced by 3 or by 1/4.
That's a fair assessment.
Right?
Yeah.
And then if you lose another one, you're a centaur that moves half speed,
Well, no.
walking on your back legs. Like, this is great.
Oh, no.
Just like awkwardly standing there on the back legs.
No. Front legs only. Or no, I'll do you one better. Back left, front right.
Oh, God.
So, limp. Your speed.
Yes, that character would be.
Yeah, he would limp, yeah.
Yeah.
So, limp. You have erectile dysfunction. No. Your speed on foot is reduced by 5 feet. You must take a DC 10 dex save. After using the dash action, if you fail to save, you fall prone. Magical healing, period, removes the limp.
Bullshit.
Internal injury. Whenever you attempt an action in combat, you must make a DC 15 con save. On a failed save, you'll lose your action and can't use reactions till the start of your next turn. This injury heals if you receive magical healing, or if you spend 10 days doing nothing but resting.
Oh, I fell on my keys. Yeah, I'm okay with that one.
Magical healing as in like a regenerate restoration.
I'm going to say potion even counts.
That's weak.
Your paladin comes over and like delicately
I
caresses
will
the
put-
side of your face, and you're fine.
No, that's weak.
Broken ribs. This has the same effect as internal injury above, except the save DC is 10. The other one was 15. So I assume that the internal injury we're talking about before was punctured lung.
Oh, it's a significant internal injury because I
Yeah.
go like broken ribs are fairly high on my list of shit I don't want to happen to me. So
Yeah, no, like internal. That's weak.
Yep, okay. Festering Wound. Your hit point maximum is reduced by 1 every 24 hours. The wound persists. If your hit point maximum drops to 0, you dead. The wound heals if you
does it say it
receive...
like that.
It does now.
Yeah.
The wound heals.
You dead.
The wound heals if you receive magical healing. Alternatively, someone can tend to the wound and make a DC 15 medicine check once every 24 hours. After 10 successes, the wound heals. So this is a festering wound. This is something that is very, very wrong.
Just
But again,
throw leeches
going
on it.
over and spending 1 point of lay on hands will fix it.
5 points.
Is it remove disease or is it?
No. Just 5 points.
Doesn't it say just magical healing of some kind?
If you receive magical healing, you're right. Yep.
So 1 point.
Oh yeah.
Like it should be minimum 5, right? If you're going to make this on the same level as remove disease, it should cost the same.
Yeah, if you have a small village full of festering wounds, your paladin just, okay guys, give me 3 days. Done.
This just, honestly, using these just seems like I'm picking on the players because I'm going to be doing that damage anyways, and to get over it is trivial. So I'm just adding more to the process.
Honestly,
without any payoff.
I disagree with you. I think this is flavorful. This adds consequence.
There's one more.
Oh, sorry.
Minor Scar. The scar doesn't have any adverse effect. Magical healing of 6th level or higher, such as heal and regenerate, removes the scar.
I'm glad you interrupted me for that one.
Yes, my point stays the same.
But like, I hate the fact that there is no persistent consequence to taking damage in this game. Like, it does not make sense to me why some people adventure and the majority of people stay as farmers. Because there's no prolonged consequence for this, other than outright death, right? But law of numbers, someone's going to come away as a massive hero with no ill effect, right?
That could be me.
I don't know. Like, I like the fact that there's persistent damage, there's scarring. I like the festering wound stuff. I like the internal bleeding stuff, because that's not really addressed in any other way in this game.
So my problem with it, again, I can heal your broken bone with 1 point of lay on hands, but I need a 6th level healing spell or higher to get rid of that little scar that you have.
Oh, my issue is how it's cured, how it's removed.
Yeah, it's not scaled right.
No.
I have a solution. Let's create a healer NPC stat block. And depending on what you want to get healed, you have to go to them. They're a specific kind of necromancer that deals with healing spells. And it will cost you money. And just make this a thing that is in the background. You know how in the back of the monster manual you get all the NPC stat blocks? Just make this one of the really important ones. You can go to a healer and get this done.
But Eberron does that with House Galanda, the healing.
It does.
Or Jarasco?
It's Jarasco.
Jarasco, right? Like, they are a restoration company, right? Like, that's what they do.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Dan. So
I've worked for a restoration company before, and fuck you.
Like, that already exists.
Yes, but we don't have a stat block for it. And the stat block that I want to include... See, this is my problem with all the diseases. I want a table of what the disease is called, what kind of damage and shit that it does, how you get it, and what the name of the cure is. How rare is it, right?
Yeah.
I want a couple of tables of this in the Dungeon Master's Guide 2, whenever they release the next DMG, right? So, and I want that for healing as well, where you can just, you know that, hey, I got this scar, I can go get it healed up for 100 gold pieces. Or we can go buy some more adventuring shit and get this story going, right? Like,
yeah.
Is it worth it for you to do this? And maybe for the bard it is, and for the barbarian it isn't. And you can really deal with the idea of vanity and whatnot. But I don't want scars or injuries to affect charisma. Would you guys have an injury affect other ability checks, though?
Yes. If you have a broken arm, your strength is affected.
Yeah.
If you have a broken leg, your dex is affected. If you have internal bleeding, your con is affected. If you have a concussion, your int is affected.
I noticed that there's no concussion on here. That was going to be something that I brought up as well.
Yeah. If you have a concussion, your wisdom is like, what's a good wisdom one? That's street smarts.
You had concussions.
If you have taken onto a cult, your wisdom is affected, right? Like, it's...
You've been afflicted by Scientologists.
Yes, right? So
don't sue us, for fuck's sakes. We have no money. You're wasting your time.
But, like, yes, I would have them do that. And if the player is okay with it and we've talked about it, yes, I would have things affect physical appearance and charisma. Right? But as with all of these, this comes with the discussion of the player where it's like, I am going to attack other parts of your character sheet. Here's how they will look. This is an option, and this is something you cover in your session 0.
I absolutely hate the regenerate spell.
Yeah, get rid of it.
It just undoes all of this shit. And I know it's a high level spell, but come on, you have it by tier 3.
Yep.
And it just undoes everything we've worked towards at this point.
I mean, it is a high level spell. So like, if you have been playing with a peg leg from level 4 when you accidentally got it bit off by a dire shark, then I mean you have earned the regrowth of regeneration by the time you're mid tier 3.
All right, grab dice. I want to hear. Would you want to play with these kind of injuries, these ideas about diseases, the idea of scarification as a player? Would you sign up for that? If a DM says, hey, I want to do this.
Not 20.
A tree.
I got a 17. Dave? Not as a DM now, but as a player, are you interested in this?
Yes, but also no. Yes, if it's laid out in a session 0 and I'm okay with things attacking the sheet. I'm not okay with you wasting my time to make me roll that extra check that is going to be not beneficial or add anything to the story. If all it is doing is adding a little bit of flavor and it happens all the time and you're just taking away my ability to be productive as a player, and I don't like that. But if you're actually going to be useful with it, it's going to be, have payoff for it to happen. Yeah, go for it. Sure.
So as long as there is a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, for me, I as a player do not want to deal with this shit. I've got enough other stuff going on. There are enough other condition effects. D&D is not built for this. There are other game systems out there where you have ongoing. They got rid of the bleed effect, right? They got rid of the bloodied effect. They got rid of surprise. They have dumbed 5th edition down so much that for 5th edition, adding in diseases and scarifications, as someone who has done this, who has lopped limbs off of players, but as someone who has gone through this, I would say that I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, I don't like this. It adds an extra level of nonsense to the game mechanic that takes away from the story. And as much as I could make a story about disease, or see, scarification was a big factor in the last session, or in the last campaign, and so was the blood plagues and everything else. That won't be a thing in the next campaign, so I'm not bringing that mechanic in. Maybe I'll bring in honor or piety, and not sanity. These are variant rules to me. Mm-hmm. And as a player, I'm not interested in playing that. I want to play straight up heroic D&D. Because that's what 5th Ed is. 5th Ed is the story of how these heroes became heroes.
Yeah.
Not the danger of swamp water, right? Or how shitty you are at singing because you have a scar on your eye.
For me, I would love to have persistent scars, persistent, even status effect style drain happen on my character as a player. I like the idea that there's consequence to my actions and consequence to luck just not going my way, and having the dice reflect that, having these things reflect that. Now, on the same hand, I would not put this in the game frequently. Like, this is when shit goes wrong, you lose a leg. When shit goes wrong, you get a concussion and you're dummied for a bit. Like, there is a certain amount of frequency that it implies where if you use this rule for injuries, it's going to happen all the time. Each time you fall to 0 hit points. Nah, I don't. That is too much.
No, you're right. You use this at the boss level fight. Doesn't matter the tier. And in order to use that restoration spell, the caster has to waste his turn to do it. And it is fixed by the time you move on from this battle. You're not getting this from, zombie A in the catacombs.
Oh, well, I mean, if zombie A in the catacombs rolls stupid, like you briefly mentioned having these things pop up on like a crit table, So you roll a d20 and then you roll another set of dice to determine where on this crit table you land, and then some of those options might give you these. Yes, I'm okay with that. Unless there's a fighter, what champion fighter in the group.
What's interesting to me is Dave and I were really, really interested in exploring the diseases and the crazy shit in Chult, and you hated the mechanics of it.
Yes.
And now here we are talking about diseases and scars and injuries, and Dave and I are like, as a player, maybe not. And you're like, yep, do it.
Oh, well,
so I feel like we flipped a bit.
Injuries, yes. I do not give two shits about diseases. Diseases in Dungeons and Dragons seem pointless to me. Mostly because there's magical healing and it gets rid of them anyways. And you have classes in the game that are full on fucking immune by 3rd level. By the time your paladin goes, no, this is really what I want. This is my oath. By the time your paladin gets his defining feature, he's also immune to disease. Like, come on, right? I don't like disease in this game unless there is a magical weight to it and it is a plot point and campaign arcing. It is very important if there's a disease in my game and it is not just a hand wave with a couple arcane words is going to get rid of it, right? So, however, scars, limb loss, stuff like that, I definitely want around.
Dan's next character is going to get castrated.
Please, no.
Please, no.
No. I did want to... I don't know how this is going to go with you guys, but I did want to bring this up. The whole idea of losing limbs and then having, as a player, the ability to target specific limbs in a called shot. As for rules in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, I don't think there are any that are established for how to do a called shot.
In some of the modules, it will say, if you want to target this one thing, you have to roll a blank to be able to do it.
Right.
And that's as close as you get to called shots. A called shot, for those of you listening who don't know, is when you specifically say, I want to hit that eye, or I want to lop his hand off, or whatever. It's not about the damage, it's about targeting a body part.
It's 8-ball corner pocket. You are calling where your shot is going to go, right? And in the heat of combat, that is next to fucking impossible. So...
To me, a called shot, the opponent has to be prone, and you have to have someone in control, right? Like, you have to be able to hold that arm down and then chop it off. You're not going to be lopping an arm off in the middle of combat.
I agree. Yeah.
The reason is...
That's coup de grace to me, though. That's different.
Sure, but the reason is that when if I'm going to, like, as a DM, if I'm going to make a called shot against my player, that's not super fair. I'm going to lop his arm off eventually, and he is going to lose his ability. I take away agency, right? And if the player gets to do that to me, he's taking away my agency as a DM, and I don't want him to do that either. Now, if you've already won the battle and you want to make a point and pop his eye out or whatever, go for it. Fine.
The encounter's done.
Exactly.
Here you go. Yeah.
But if you're going to do it no, move on.
Combat is too chaotic to do that in, even as a level 20 fighter. If you're a level 20 dex-based fighter or a level 20 rogue, I don't think you have that level of capability to do that in the midst of combat with all the other equal level 20 random magic bullshit happening at that
You have
time.
to really justify it to me and make it good.
Right?
I am going to hard disagree with both of you on this, but I have a mechanic for this.
Okay.
The called shot, because it does come up occasionally, especially when I'm dealing with things like Beholders or Medusa, where it's specifically the one body part that matters.
Well, yeah, even in Theros, the Tromocratus, you have to beat its carapace and then kill its 4 hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So there are times where this is going to come up and where players are going to get really, really creative with how to remove I'm going to slash at the vocal cords of the harpy, right? Like, they're going to really target one thing, and I'm fine with that. But what I do is I take the AC, I ram that AC up by 10, so whatever it is, you're gonna have a hard time doing this. And I also give whoever it is, whatever the creature is, a DC 12, and it's always DC 12, dex save. On a success, they flinch out of the way. So not only do you have to target it and it's difficult, but then they get the ability to pull back. And on top of that, you have to do 10% of its max hit points worth of damage in that round to affect that one body part.
That's not a lot, though.
It's not a lot for a goblin. It's a fuck of a lot for an ancient dragon. You're not cutting a wing off or removing teeth or any of that shit, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, how many hit points does an ancient dragon have?
upwards of 300.
Oh,
Okay.
500.
Upwards of 500.
Sure, but you're telling me that as a caster that can actually take out an ancient dragon, you can't do 50 points of damage?
It has to be a specific called shot, so your meteor swarm is not going to do it.
Sure.
Tell me how
You're not allowed to AoE damage this. It is a specific point.
Yeah, and so if you want to cast harm at higher levels just to be able to do this or disintegrate or whatever. Yes, you can roll to do this. That is a badass thing that you are trying to do. And if it works, I will have mechanics for it. And it is, your speed cut in half or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The only time that I ever let players just do this on a whim, just create these injuries, is on the crit table, where it is action limb, which is hands, arms, tentacles, or movement limbs, which are, legs. I include tails, fins, wings, things like that, right? And so you roll to see which one you accidentally lopped off. Anyway, so I will do this. And that's when I say, I have lopped limbs off of players. None of my monsters will do this to a player. Ever. They do not do called shots. What they will do instead is they will capture you. They will drag you away. You know that you're going to have your hand lopped off by the executioner at noon tomorrow, right? And it becomes a plot point.
Yeah.
However, if I end up in a player versus player scenario, which has happened more than once, and they roll on the crit table, then invariably Dan will remove Megan's leg at the knee.
Fuck you, Megan. That's what you get for killing that church full of innocents.
Yeah. Or Jamie will lop off Terry's arm or something like this.
Fuck you, Terry. That's what you get for killing that church full of innocents.
No, Terry was just living his best life. Jamie got mind controlled.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they were not expecting that. So,
which one of lives was this one?
Sorry?
For Terry's character, because he had 3 lives that he lived through.
Yeah, no, they ended up reversing time so that didn't happen. They used a special magical item to go back in time, and it created a split timeline. So his sanity has been slowly unraveling as he can remember all of the timelines, because someone decided to return all of his memories to him. They modified memory and fixed him.
Oh.
Which means that he remembers 3 different lifetimes all happening at the same time. And so that created his own kind of crazy madness. However, this is not shit that I would do at random. These are plot point things.
Yes.
Or it's just the crazy amount of circumstances that had to line up for a player to attack another player, roll on a crit table. I'm not going to do this with a chimera or a manticore. That I'm not going to remove someone's foot with this. If you are going to jump into the lava, you're going to get scarred. That shit's coming. And there's no amount of me hand-waving that away.
But the thing is, to me, lava is less hot than dragon's fire.
Well, for me, there are the 4 kinds of fire. Right?
Yeah.
And do you know this, Dave? Have I talked about the 4 kinds of fire?
I feel like you're gonna.
There's fire.
Yes.
Which is superseded by elemental fire,
okay,
which is also the same as alchemist fire.
Sure.
Beyond that is dragon fire.
Okay.
And then beyond that is hellfire.
Sure.
Where does lava fit in there? That's
regular. That's normal. Okay. It's just as hot as fire goes, right? So just because you're immune to fire doesn't mean that you're going to be immune to hellfire or dragon breath. Again, this is for NPCs and monsters, or I really telegraph this shit ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I hate the fact that I put on this magical necklace and now I can walk through the 9 hells and not get affected by this fire. And hellfire is not fire a devil casts. It is literally walk through the flames of hell. So you have to tap into that shit. So anyway, those are my versions of fire. I like to stack it because I like to make things complicated, apparently. Any other final thoughts on scarring or injury or disease before we move on to our final topic? Dave?
No.
Okay, so let's cut to a shout out really quickly, and then we will come back and get into curses. So, gentlemen, Alexander Notherskip Davis has been chomping at the bit for us to open up this package and see what he sent us. What he did was he sent us what he calls turning dice.
Turning dice?
Turning dice. These things are a load of fun.
Whoa,
and
hang on.
Yeah, I know. They don't look like dice. So the cool thing about these is that you are supposed to put them on an item and roll them, kind of like Price is Right style, to see what the number is that pops up. He's actually manufacturing these and sending them out. He's got a bunch of different colors, and I'm sure he's going to paint the numbers. We got kind of the prototype versions, which are really, really interesting. I want to take like a chopstick and put it through, but he wanted us to take a look at these, and like they're neat. I haven't seen anything like this before, and this one sparkles. The numbers are not all like just 1 to 20. They're on opposite sides. The 1 and the 20 are on opposite sides, and like there was some real thought that went into this, and I think he's 3D printing them.
Mm-hmm. No, he's molding them.
Is he molding them?
He's molding them
Oh,
himself,
yeah. Beauty. Anyway.
And it's from the number that's at the top?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, aren't these things cool? I think what I would like to do the next time the three of us are on an episode together is to actually use these to roll. It's probably not going to... No, not like that, Dan. Just don't throw in the dice box. But it's not going to show up too loudly, but I really want to use these. But, I mean, they're pretty hardy, right? And then...
Oh, it's good.
It's solid. Yeah. I don't have anything else that's like this. So, and I know that he's talking about doing more than just D20s for them as well. But no, I really like these. I'm gonna utilize these in my games definitely. And Alexander, another Skip Davis, we are going to reach out to you, and we're gonna put something on our Instagram page about where people can buy these things from you, because we've got all of this really great shit. So check our Instagram page to see where you can pick these up. We're going to have a post directly dedicated to these. You'll also be able to find us on our Facebook page, and we'll make a Reddit post as well on our subreddit.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you very much. These are fantastic, and they also go clickety-clack if you throw them.
All the numbers.
All the numbers. Anyway, no, this is fantastic. Thank you very much, person whose name is another Skip. This is just the worst shout-out ever, because we're all just playing with new toys. Terry keeps dropping them on the floor. Now, Christmas morning with us would be so fucking boring, because we would all get the first present and then just sit there by ourselves
then just
quietly. Yeah. Curses are one of the strangest things in D&D, because they've got bizarre rules that are counterintuitive to what we think of when we think of curses. When we think of... What do you guys think of when you think of a curse?
That thing that was of Strahd.
Fuck off, Dave.
And it's not of Strahd, it's of Strayed.
Strayed.
For me, it's...
He lives in Barovia.
Anyways, so curses to me are the...
Curses!
They are the, like, thing you won't necessarily see, but your offspring will see. Like, they are long-lived, like, bloodline.
These are the
lasting.
negative of the epic boon.
Yes. Yeah.
You think so? So that, well, I mean, I guess you're prescribing to how tieflings were in older editions. That's a curse.
I view them not magical, but supernatural, if that makes sense.
Yes, I'm the same way. I see a curse as being, you guys know the movie Thinner?
Yes.
Or Drag Me to Hell?
Isn't Thinner a Stephen King book as well?
Yeah. Richard Bachman, actually. But, yes.
Okay.
But these are like I know that we don't use the word gypsy anymore, but that is the curse that I think of, because that's what I grew up with in the 80s and 90s and old, like, cartoon shows and shit, right? Is these old, like, Romani, Eastern European, like, old lady.
There is a stereotype
the
here.
crone that puts a curse on you. And we see that with hags still.
Yes.
However, there's more than just that. There's werewolves and lycanthropy. There are mummy curses. There are all sorts of curses out there. And yet, as much as we deal with the magical and the supernatural, it's fucking weird in D&D. And really lopsided and kind of strange. So, let's go through kind of the base rules of what curses are. And we're going to start with the spell Bestow curse. 3rd level necromancy. 1 action, verbal and somatic only, so you don't need to have a material for this. And it's concentration up to a minute. You've got to be able to touch someone. You touch a creature, and that creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become cursed for the duration of the spell. When you cast this spell, choose the nature of the curse from the following options. This already pisses me off because it limits you. Choose 1 ability score. While cursed, the target has disadvantage on ability checks and saving throws made with that ability score. While cursed, the target has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. While cursed, the target must make a wisdom saving throw at the start of each of its turns. If it fails, it wastes its action that turn and does nothing. While the target is cursed, your attacks and spells deal an extra 1d8 necrotic damage to the target. A remove curse spell ends this effect. At the DM's option, you may choose an alternative curse effect, but it should be no more powerful than these described above. The DM has final say on such a curse's effect. It's one of the only times that we see it get really fucking meta in a spell description. At higher levels, if you cast this spell using a spell slot of 4th or higher, the duration is concentration up to 10 minutes. If you use a spell slot of 5th level or higher, the duration is 8 hours. 7th or higher is 24 hours, and 9th lasts until it is dispelled. Using a spell slot of 5th level or higher grants a duration that doesn't require concentration.
Whoa.
You'll notice that the effects of it don't get any worse. Just the duration gets affected, and your concentration at higher levels. This is a 3rd level necromancy spell. You can gain this at 5th level. How do we feel about this?
Are we rolling?
Let's roll.
A 5.
Another nat 20.
I got a 17. Jeez,
I
Dave.
am going last.
Again.
Again.
What do you got, Dave?
I hate this and I will never use it. If I want to impose disadvantage, I will do it some other way. I don't need this to do it.
That's only one of the things that you can do.
No, I don't like it. It leans too much into the advantage disadvantage side of things. It gives attackers advantage against you, yes?
Yeah.
And it gives you disadvantage. You can do a little bit extra damage. That's neat. Just do it a different way and get advantage while you're doing it. You don't need to bestow a curse. It's 5th edition introduced advantage and disadvantage to reduce the math that you had to do in previous editions.
Yeah.
And although I love that, and I have one player in my group who is super bad at math, and it takes him very long to add 12 and 5, that's great. It helps my game move a little bit quicker, but they can use it too much. You can do a little bit more math. This is the one of the shortcomings of 5th edition. This is one of the reasons that I still kind of like 3.5 in addition to 5th edition, right? Like it's not, it doesn't pack enough of a punch. You can cast it at a higher level, but it doesn't really, it's not a bigger punch. You know, it's like,
It just lasts longer.
yeah, it falls flat.
Honestly, if I'm casting it as if I'm using this on an NPC and I'm casting it at a higher level spell slot, I'm doing it so that now they have this effect all the way through the dungeon. Right? Like it's not
Not a minute.
Yeah. I hate it because there's no fucking flavor. There's none whatsoever in this. It is pure mechanic, and they don't get into what it takes to cast. What is a curse? Why is this different than any other spell that has a duration? In theory, every duration spell is a curse. Hex is a curse. This is just Hex plus.
Yep.
I can't stand this. Dan, where do you land on this?
I like it. I really, really, really do. And I like it because it is Hex plus. I like the fact that the way it gets better is just by making it longer. I think that's actually really smart because a lot of these things could add a lot of difficulty, far more than that short window. Like if you ruin someone's dexterity with their ability checks and saving throws made on with that ability score, and you extend this out to a day or depending on what spell level you use for the rest of their lives, if you use a 9th level spell on this, it is now a plot point to get this thing removed. Right?
I'm surprised that you like this because you said that a curse for you was about bloodlines. There's nothing like that here.
There's nothing like that here. I like the spell as it is. Calling it a curse is maybe where I have an issue.
Yeah, I think Dan's just saying it's got the wrong word.
Yeah, right?
If this was upcasting Hex, you'd be fine.
Yeah, if this was Hex plus,
Greater Hex.
yeah.
Hexier.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Hexy Beast.
All right, but now check this out.
Too hexy for yeah.
Fuck.
Now I'm cursed for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Remove curse. Casting time, 1 action. 3rd level abjuration.
Yep.
It's weird that you need a different spell school for this. In theory, you should be able to just undo the curse. If I cast it, I should be able to drop it.
I disagree.
The necromancer not inherently being able to remove a curse feels fucking strange.
Well, I mean, they just take the remove curse spell if they really wanted to. But I would say one of the things about curses that I really like the idea of is they're not just maybe a hag would snap their fingers and the curse that they have levied on something is gone. But
anything can, because this is instantaneous. Remove curse is 3rd level, so you get it at level 5. So it's real easy to get. It's instantaneous, and at your touch, all curses affecting one creature or object end. If the object is a cursed magic item, its curse remains, but the spell breaks its owner's attunement to the object, so it can be removed or discarded.
But it works because it's not specifically undoing Bestow curse. There are other curses that you can do other than Bestow curse, and this can get rid of those as well.
my problem with remove curse is if I have a 9th level spell slot spent on a curse, it should take a 9th level spell slot, remove curse to remove it.
Yeah, but as a DM, you just up to DC.
There's no DC.
There's no DC.
There's
you
no
just
DC.
you
You
just cast it.
It's gone.
Oh, that's bullshit. Okay, I would make a DC.
I like spell slot for spell slot on this, but honestly, this also needs to be an hour-long ritual, or you need to have a ritual that lasts a certain longer duration than this. The idea that this is an instantaneous, I just shrug this off. My freaking cleric just goes, "No, you're not." Seems stupid to me.
Yep. Or oh, that sucks forward now. We'll take care of it in the morning.
Yeah. So, how do we feel about curses? Do you like them at all? Let's roll for it. Now that we know all of the mechanics for it.
9.
9.
10.
18.
5.
Sweet.
All right,
I
so
rolled high to go second.
Yep. I'm telling you right now, I mean, I said it before, I think that curse is fucking weak. And I think the problem, I agree, it should be called hex, whatever. Remove curse as remove hex feels a little bit better to me.
Yep.
I think that the remove the curse item thing needs to be fucking 7th level magic.
Yes.
Because we have straight up evil, intelligent, cursed items that are plot points. We've all used them in our games. And the idea that a 5th level cleric can just say, no, it isn't, pisses me off.
There's part of me that wants to say it needs to be gradient because the armor that is cursed, that the only thing it is you just don't want to take it off. It's not necessarily evil, it's just inconvenient.
Well,
right?
maybe have a sliding scale for it so that it is based on the common, uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh no, Dan, you're next.
I'm
not used to Dan not going last. It's weird.
As curses in this, as the spell Bestow curse, I don't mind it. I like it. I don't think it should be named that. Like you said, Adam. Curses in this, like curses should carry a lot more weight, right? There should be a bloodline afflicting curse. For generations, my family has dealt with this curse. And because we have dealt with this curse, we have a lot of shame regarding this curse, right? This should be a thing, a plot point, a thread that I could pull as a DM. And it feels like WotC's just cut me off at the legs with it. Because this is how they do quote-unquote curses. Nah, man, no. You're now unlucky for the rest of your life. I, as a DM, will have lucky against you. That's a good curse. No. Reroll that. Why? Because you're unlucky.
Yeah, it really depends.
I mean, that's off the top of my head, and that's very adversarial. But, like, curses need to have a heavier effect.
It's okay to be adversarial sometimes.
Yes, in the right situation, this would not apply to that.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Dave.
As a DM, I would never use it. As a player, I would try to use this on every big bad evil guy on round 1 so that he gets that wisdom save to try to do nothing on his turn, and my guys get advantage and he gets disadvantage. Right? However, that is the kind of spell that, as a DM, getting it cast on my guy is going to ruin an encounter and make me have to get creative, which I'm just going to undo it. So I mean, I'll let them do it, but I'll probably be like, really? You're a 5th level necromancer? That's the best you got? Just try to talk them out of it a little bit. Using the inflection of my,
Yeah, I'm with you.
I try to engineer the conversation away from it, and it works. My players, I hope they're not listening, are prone to suggestion.
Really? Should we break down that spell too?
No.
The thing that I absolutely dislike about this is that no player takes it. And the only time you ever take remove curse is when someone's already cursed.
Yep.
So it's a downtime thing. It's incidental.
You're right. Remove curse should be an hour-long ritual.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
With an expensive material component.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to blitz through this really quickly, guys, because there are a couple of other places where curses fall apart in the monster manual, okay? First and foremost, hags. Hags should be able to bestow curse, and guess what? They fucking do. They get it. They get, in a coven, so when there's enough of them together, they will get the ability to cast bestow curse 3 times. No hag in the monster manual has the ability to remove curse. Which means the plot point of go visit the hag to fix this is gone.
Yeah, but you can homebrew your way through that real easy.
Yeah, but a lot of people play hard and fast, rules as written with monsters. I feel like even green hags, which are super low, should be able to do that. That's their fucking gimmick.
Yeah.
They can, as far as their own personal unique thing, change what they look like and become invisible. There is no curse mechanic that they get, period.
They are no different than any fae.
Yep, pretty much. Sea hags have the ability to change their appearance and have a death glare. There's no curse here. Night hags do have once per day, so it's very limited. Nightmare haunting, which essentially means that they find someone who's asleep and they start to mess with them and give them like nightmares and dreadful visions. If the visions last for at least an hour, they gain no benefit from the rest, and their hit point max is reduced by 5. If this reduces the target's hit point maximum to 0, the target dies, and if the target was evil, its soul is trapped in the hag's soul bag. The reduction to the target's hit point maximum lasts until removed by the greater restoration spell or similar magic, so not even remove curse.
I like the idea of a soul bag, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hangs outside the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fleshy, maybe a little hairy.
Little nothing.
Gross.
It's your warrior's mane.
Gross.
Anyway, so the curses for hags suck. There's nothing here that's weak as shit.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And I don't like it. Now, there are 3 other hags that exist out there. We're just going to cover the monster manual ones today. But the base level of hag sucks. You need a coven to be able to bestow a curse in the first place. That seems bullshit and wrong to me.
Seeing a hag in any situation should come with it the danger that you will walk away from it cursed.
Absolutely. And we just don't get that feeling from these hags at all. Dave, how do you weigh in on this?
Honestly, I would just homebrew my way through it and be like, yeah, they can curse. They can remove it. They can blah, blah, blah. These things, anytime I come across a creature that should have something and they don't, yeah, they have it.
So you just have to homebrew the fix because the base monster doesn't have it. That feels broken to me.
I do that a lot, though. Like, if I get into a combat and my players do something that I'm not expecting that just alters the combat altogether, yeah, I gotta change the conditions. I've got to make this work to drive the story, right? So I don't feel bad about it.
All right, let's jump into Mummy then, because Curse of the Mummy is a thing, right? So one of their attacks is a Dreadful Glare, which is, really the same as the fucking, the mum look that they give you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys done? Fucking.
Yeah, we're good.
Jesus Christ, children.
Jump into that mummy.
So.
Get the glare. That's part of the fun.
Then you're going to love Rotting Fist.
God damn it.
Perfect.
So not only does it do necrotic damage
Yeah, it does.
on a hit, it does bludgeoning damage, then necrotic damage for... This is a CR3, by the way. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 12 con save or be cursed with mummy rot. The cursed target can't regain hit points, and its hit point maximum decreases by 3d6 for every 24 hours that elapse. If the curse reduces the target's hit point maximum to 0, the target dies and its body returns to dust. It lasts until removed by the remove curse spell or other magic.
Mummy rot used to be a disease. I want it to be a disease. This, everything, you're making a con save for this. It's a fucking disease. It is not a curse.
I like the idea that it has to be magically removed, though.
This is the closest thing to a magical disease that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and so I really like this for the mummy, and it's a little powerful, too, for it,
Yep.
because at a CR3, doing 3d6 max hit points, that could be overnight
Yeah.
for a sorcerer, right? Like, that's enough to fucking wipe out some of your spellcasters.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, any thoughts about that?
No, I like it.
Yeah, you like it. The Mummy Lord also has this, but they've also got a couple of other crazy things that they can do as well. They do not get Bestow Curse, which is weird to me.
Yeah, same.
A Mummy Lord is CR 15. I figure like that should be something they can just fucking do.
Like as an aura.
Yeah. Now, the Constitution save is higher. It's at a DC 16 for their Rotting Fist attack. But they get legendary actions, including Blasphemous Word, which means the Mummy Lord utters a blasphemous word. Each non-undead creature within 10 feet of the Mummy Lord that can hear the magical utterance must succeed on a con save or be stunned till the end of the Mummy Lord's next turn. It's kind of like, because we're talking about mummies, we're getting into this idea that it is stunning and slowly for a turn at a time, hitting people, and also channel negative energy, where anybody within 60 feet of the Mummy Lord, including ones behind barriers and around corners, can't regain hit points till the end of the Mummy Lord's next turn as well.
Oof.
Right, and there's no save on that.
Oof.
It costs 2 legendary actions to do it.
Worth it.
Yeah, so I like this. This is what curses should be. I want hags to do this shit, especially the Coven should get... Again, I want a DMG table of curses, right? There needs to be more of this, and I'm a little annoyed.
Yeah, curse you.
Do you guys have any more thoughts on mummies?
No.
No.
I feel like we should have something under the mummy section for sarcophagi and for disturbing
And tombs,
their resting place.
right? Yeah. I mean, we've talked about layers and a few things. Like there needs to be a mummy layer that curses anyone who was around when that seal was broken.
Now, they do have layer actions, and they do have regional effects as well, but it's nothing like curses at all.
No, they need to be curse centered. I mean, a lot of what we see as the traditional, universal library of monsters, the Wolfman.
No, we're going to get there in a second.
Yeah, those things need to be curses across the board, right? All of them. And this is, the Mummy's one of those where it needs to be about curses.
I think, okay, so there is one here that kind of feels like a curse, so I'm going to give it its due here. Until initiative count 20 on the next round, any non-undead creature that tries to cast a spell of 4th level or lower within the lair is racked with pain. The creature can choose another action, but if it tries to cast a spell, it has to make a DC 16 con save. On a failed save, it takes 1d6 necrotic damage per level of the spell, and the spell has no effect and is wasted.
I really like that.
That is nice. Yeah.
I'm going to throw that into a wizard's tower. That feels fun to me.
Yeah.
You're right. I feel like we need to... I almost put fucking vampirism as a curse. The ritual of trading blood back and forth, like, what makes a vampire a vampire? We can get into rituals and shit like this. I want to remove the mummy's curse needs to be high level magic. Or you have to put them back in the sarcophagus and close it and then cast remove curse. Or like, there needs to be shit that happens with this.
You gotta go find Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
No, or Tom Cruise.
No.
No. Hey, McConnell! Looks like we have all the horses!
Fuck that guy. Just fuck that guy.
Oh, I love that guy. He's the best part of that movie. So, the last thing that we need to talk about as far as curses go, and is going to wrap the episode, is the curse of lycanthropy. Lycanthropes actually have a section in the flavor text all about their curses. A humanoid creature can be afflicted with the curse of lycanthropy after being wounded by a lycanthrope, or if one or both of its parents are lycanthropes. A remove curse spell can rid an afflicted lycanthrope of the curse, but a natural-born lycanthrope can be freed of the curse only by a wish. A lycanthrope can either resist its curse or embrace it. By resisting the curse, a lycanthrope retains its normal alignment and personality. While in humanoid form, it lives its life as it always has, burying deep the bestial urges raging inside it. However, when the full moon rises, the curse becomes too strong to resist. There's no mechanic on this.
No.
It's just, this is how werewolves work. Some individuals see little point in fighting the curse and accept what they are. With time and experience, they learn to master their shape-changing ability and can assume beast form or hybrid form at will. Most lycanthropes that embrace their bestial natures succumb to bloodlust, becoming evil, opportunistic creatures that prey on the weak. So remove curse can get rid of you being a werewolf?
Fuck that.
No.
3rd level spell, 5th level caster. Hell no. With no save.
Not in my games.
No, not mine either.
Not mine.
And that's what I wanted to address.
And
here.
if it is in yours, you're wrong.
Well, Dan's taking a hard stance on that. By the way,
That makes no sense.
there is no mechanic besides if you take damage, you can get this. There's no mechanic. When you look at the stat blocks, it does not address curses at all.
There's no like con save or like you
Nothing.
take damage.
No.
And,
If you take damage, you can be affected.
so it's just the DM going, you have this now.
Here is a plot point. Until you cast a 3rd level spell.
I don't like that. I want there to be some sort of mechanic. Some sort of DC to save. This needs to be something.
Yeah, you gotta make a con save. If it hits you with a claw or a bite specifically, you have to make a DC blah con save. Right?
Yeah.
And make the save reflective of the level they're at.
Yeah.
You know?
And there needs to be a little thing in there where if you have one form of lycanthropy, you can't catch another.
No,
Because
like-
last thing I want is to see a wereboar tiger.
Man,
some
bear,
sort-
pig.
Some sort of half man, half bear pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The half.
Some sort of half pig, half bear man.
It's the werebear and the wereboar.
Isn't that how they got an owl bear?
No.
No?
No, that was just some selective fucking. So, lycanthropy. There needs to be new rules for this,
Yeah.
right? This is not at all worthwhile. If I'm going to run a tier 1 campaign, level 1 to 4, fine. But again, this feels like D&D, Wizards of the Coast, 5th edition. We are talking about tier 1 and the first half of tier 2. Curses make sense.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you get past about 7th level, it's bullshit. There's nothing to them anymore. You're not trying. You're not working on it. And I really want to affect... What do you do at high level play? You curse the party. You give them a time limit.
Yeah.
That is a great way of dealing with this. And unlike diseases, we can't just put a magical curse on because they're already fucking magical.
Yeah.
Right? There should be another level. We have shadow magic. We have elemental magic that they keep talking about, but it doesn't fucking mean anything. Why not have supernatural magic or fey magic or whatever this curse is? We should see more curses out of fey creatures, period.
Yes, I agree. Like the unseelie side of things, I want to see curses laid on people by Fomorians who like look at you with their one scraggly eye. There's a curse from that, isn't there?
Yeah, there are other creatures that can do that. My large purple giant monster also has an eye that it's going to look deep into your soul and scare the shit out of you.
Again, you should see a doctor because it shouldn't have that many warts on it.
Curse of the Evil Eye.
Oh, yeah, okay, there it is.
With a stare, the Fomorian uses Evil Eye, but on a failed save, the creature is also cursed with magical deformities. While deformed, the creature looks like Dan.
I mean, rude.
Well, it's bald.
I mean, rude.
While deformed, the creature has its speed halved and has disadvantage on ability checks, saving throws, and attacks based on strength or dex. I don't know. I'm not a fan of how curses are laid out. This needs to be expanded. We need to really dig into it. One of the things, I keep toying with the idea of making my own PDFs and shit, and I keep coming back to the idea of curses in my own head. Just coming up with, not D100 tables, but how to manage curses. A how-to on curse management. Because this shit just drives me nuts. It was mishandled in 3.5. It was mishandled in 4th. I don't think
a single
D&D
edition has got it right yet.
No, D&D just does not know how to handle curses the way that we grew up hearing ghost stories and watching Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps books, and curses were goddamn scary, and now they're an afterthought.
Well, that's the thing. Dungeons and Dragons is at its heart a sword and sorcery game. The idea of curses, and we've mentioned this before, with sanity. Dungeons and Dragons does not handle horror inherently well. You have to be talented and have a couple workarounds and have some experience handling the medium to be able to make Dungeons and Dragons campaigns horrific.
But sidebar, go listen to our episode on horror, and there's also a campaign builder episode on it as well.
Yeah.
Where we dig into the different kinds of horror and how to do it.
Yeah. So I see curses being part of that base of horror that has fallen wanting to the building up of the simple sword and sorcery tabletop game that we have as 5th edition, which there's so many great things about. But if you try to blend that genre in a bit, it's hard and wanting.
I really want to see druids and rangers specifically. Warlocks too. These three should have not divine, not arcane, curse magic. That's what they should be doing. Hunter's Mark is a curse.
Yes.
Hex is a curse. Let's call it what it is and let's embrace it. All of the crazy shit that if lycanthropy is a curse, what is beast shape? Right? Like, these are curses. We should have all the shifters in Eberron should be curse based as well, right? We should be seeing more and more of this. And I like the idea of there being things from the Underdark or the Feywild or the Shadowfell that lay a curse upon you. You are plain touched by them. And you are feeling that curse of having walked through those lands.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to find a way to remove that specific curse. I think that just makes a lot of sense from a story, a narrative standpoint, as well as from a mechanical standpoint. Do we have any other final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I don't... Are we going to roll for it?
Sure.
17.
17.
What did I get? 18?
Yeah.
God damn it, I'm great at everything.
3. 6.
5.
Haha.
Just hits for Dave.
God damn it, Dave. I think that I've been really open about my disdain for every single one of these things. If you are going to change this, you should change it in a session 0, clear it with everybody, and treat it as a variant rule. Which means anything rules is written that would come up that would supersede or counteract your homebrew variant. I'd go with the rules as written until you can come up with a proper way of doing this. So when you're going to homebrew diseases, scars, injuries, or curses, anything that's going to leave a mark, right? If you're going to homebrew that shit, really lean back on the rules as written. Otherwise, you're just playing your own crazy RPG, because this could get completely out of control very quickly.
Very quickly.
You could go really deep into this. So my big thing is, as much as I'm trying to promote new ways of looking at it and new mechanics and what I like and I don't like, 5th edition is not the base setting or the game to be exploring these. There are other games out there. If you want to port it over, be clear with your players. Communication is key, because they're going to go home and look this shit up later, and they're going to be pissed that you are targeting them. Everything we've discussed so far has been just a hair's breadth off of adversarial DMing.
And that is what we really, really want to avoid. Adam, I honestly, I couldn't agree more. A lot of these things, I like the concept, but the execution is definitely lacking. So workshop them and, like, reach out to other DMs you know. Reach out to us on our Reddit channel of r/it's-a-mimic, or our email, or on the website, or reach out to us and ask, like, how to workshop some things. I know a few people do send us messages and be like, hey, I've got this thing. Can you help us out with it? Send us
well, we're getting more and more specific questions. And honestly, we've got a post sitting on the Reddit, which is for mailbag episodes.
Yeah.
Send us your questions on how to deal with these, whether or not you think it might be overpowered or underpowered, what the mechanic might be, because honestly, between the three of us especially, we have homebrewed some shit.
Yes.
So we've got a good idea between, especially for 5th edition, what is balanced.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like what's there. I think there's a place for it in the world. I am not going to use what's there unless I got backed into a corner and I had to. The only thing is that I would adjust some of these diseases to maybe be traps instead of long-term, or I guess not even long-term diseases, right?
These diseases feel like the common cold. They don't feel like malaria.
Yeah. So I would use bits and pieces until I'm backed in a corner, and then I would homebrew my way through it until that bit me in the ass, and then I'd have to call a timeout and sit down with my players and really hash it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is why I say you need to have an idea. You have to have a plan coming into it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are going to sabotage yourself and your campaign very easily. Tomb of Annihilation does a pretty good job of dealing with diseases and curses as well.
Yep.
Strangely enough, don't go to Curse of Strahd for a curse. Anyways, that's it for this week's episode on conditions. There are many more to cover, and we'll be circling back to them over the next few months. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as dozens of other podcast apps. You can also find us at www.itsamimic.com or email us at info@itsamimic.com. Thanks for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, and make sure to check out next week when we're covering Gold Dragons.
You've reached the end of another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. Connect with us at itsamimic.com. Don't forget to subscribe and hit those share buttons. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.
So we talked a bunch about scarring and about the idea of getting permanent injuries and whatnot. And Dan, you mentioned briefly the idea of called shots as well.
Yep.
Are there any maneuvers, like combat maneuvers, fighting maneuvers, that you miss? Like, this is a different kind of called shot. Yeah, let's roll for it.
18.
15.
4.
But like, what do you mean by like missed maneuver? Like from a previous edition?
Like
kind
from
of
3.5?
Yeah, or even just something
Pathfinder?
that you think should be here and isn't.
Charge. The running up, you have to run in a straight line at least 10 feet. You can go 1.5 times your movement, and you can attack with a bonus to the attack, and you get a -2 AC. Right? There's nothing like that in 5th.
No, there's
right?
nothing.
That I miss. When I first started playing 5th edition, I sat down at the table, and they're all experienced. I was a player, and they're like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to charge them." They're like, "Oh, okay. Like, what do you mean?" It's like, "I want to do this." Well, you can't do that. Well, that's a load of shit. And then I, figured it out, moved on, and then when I started DMing, I ported over all my 3.5 players, and every single one of them have asked me if they can charge. It's like, "Can we make a mechanic to make it work?" It's like, no. But, right? Like,
So there is a feat called Charger. When you use your action to dash, you can use a bonus action to make 1 melee weapon attack or to shove a creature. So you could either hit it or push it. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line, immediately before taking this bonus action, you either gain a +5 bonus to the attack's damage roll if you choose to make a melee attack and hit, or push the target up to 10 feet away from you if you choose to shove and you succeed. I would like to point out that this is a horseshit feat, but a great combat maneuver of some sort.
absolutely. I would not waste 2 ability points
To just get the ability to do
to
this.
get the feat,
Right?
right? Yeah.
I would reduce the numbers of this to be like the charger feat. I would just put the ability to charge as it is in 3.5 and 5th. I don't think it breaks the game. I don't think anything else like that. You are using a full attack action to run your movement speed. At least 10 feet of that has to be in a straight line. Or at least the 10 feet up to the monster has to be in a straight line. Whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't think...
And then you get a +2 to attack for a -2 to AC for 1 round.
Right? That's not a big give and take, right? A +2 to attack isn't huge.
Yeah.
But a -2 to AC can be. Especially in 5th ed where your AC is a lot more cut and dry than it would be.
Yeah.
From 3.5. Like yeah, you're right. You could almost port over the 3.5.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier. I agree with you.
'Cause
Charging is missing.
That's just not worth
A feat.
No,
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, Adam?
All right. So again, this is basically overrun is close, and it's basically athletics versus athletics. So when you try to move through a hostile creature space, you can try to force your way through by overrunning the hostile creature. As an action or a bonus action, the mover makes a strength check contested by the hostile creature's strength check. This is athletics both times. The creature attempting the overrun has advantage on the attack if it is larger than the hostile creature, or disadvantage if it's smaller. If it wins a contest, it can move through the hostile creature space once this turn. Other than that, you get shove aside and climb onto a bigger creature. There is nothing about charging.
Right? Like I'm not. That doesn't really.
It doesn't stack up, does it?
No.
That's as close as I could find, but that's it.
Yeah, no, like charge the maneuver charge is like drastically missing, and I mean
It's not even included in the Battlemaster shit.
But I mean, we played 3.5 a bit together. I was usually a fighty more than a spellcaster. I charged all the time.
The only time that I charge is when I use Shocking Grasp. I desperately want to sunder weapons. I want to break the shit that other people are holding.
Yeah,
I really, really, really miss the ability. There is disarm. You can do that. There are a couple of mechanics in 5th Ed to be able to do it. But I miss the ability to just reach out and smash the vial that is in the necromancer's hand. Right? I really feel like the crystal ball that the hag is holding needs to be smashed. I want a mechanic for that. And it's weird that there isn't one.
In Pathfinder, I'm sorry, Adam, there is a steal combat maneuver where you can straight up grab one unattended object on a target with a countered roll, which is usually a roll against their combat maneuver bonus or against their combat maneuver defense. I don't want to get into the mechanics of Pathfinder, especially in the combat maneuver sense, where I think Pathfinder does better than 5th edition. It's one of the very few ways I would say that Pathfinder is better than 5th edition. But
in a system where you can do anything, there are ways that, like, oh, hey, this is cool that you could do this. The problem is you can do anything.
My problem with that is, as a DM, I'm not describing every little detail. And if my players are, well, what's hanging off his backpack? Well, what's hanging on his belt? Does he have one of these? That's not the game I want to play. That gets into far too much detail. I would have
if you have an inquisitive rogue, you're able to take advanced perception checks, right? It would be lining up with these abilities in order to do this, right? Like you see the wizard puts a wand back in his pocket and pull out a different wand. Okay. Then you could go and steal that one wand. I want there to be a steal.
You just want to reach in the wizard's pocket and feel his wand.
I mean, yeah. And just to make Adam upset, I got one more, which is the dust in the face distraction. I want there to be something
pocket sand.
Pocket sand.
Yeah.
I always just allow people to do pocket sand anyway.
I want it to be mechanized because I have no idea how to...
Dex save. Athletics versus dex save.
You think?
Yeah, or sleight of hand, sorry. That's how I do it.
Sleight of hand?
Sleight of hand versus dex save.
And then what, blinded for a round?
Blinded for 1 round, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But it takes up your bonus action to do it. And anyone can do it any time. You're blinded, so you're just essentially imposing disadvantage.
You gave my Dragonborn Paladin a bag of never-ending ash.
Yeah.
And I never got an opportunity to use it as pocket sand.
When we did our one-shot here a little while ago, I pocket sanded a few times. That's just like the thing that I always carry sand for that reason.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to an It's a Mimic production.
Okay, you're done. Get it.